بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله رب العالمين. اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه في كل لحظة أبدا عدد نعم الله وأفضاله. اللهم آتنا من لدنك رحمة وعلمنا من لدنك علما. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. نوينا التعلم وتعليم وتذكر وتذكير والنفع والانتفاع والإفادة والاستفادة والحث على التمسك بكتاب الله وسنة رسوله صلى الله عليه وآله وصحبه وسلم ودعاء إلى الهدى ودلالة على الخير ابتغاء وجه الله ومرضاته وقربه وثوابه سبحانه وتعالى مع لطف وعافية برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم إنا نسألك العلم لدني ومشرب الصافي الهني يا وهاب يا غني. اللهم إنا نسألك العلم لدني ومشرب الصافي الهني يا وهاب يا غني. اللهم إنا نسألك العلم لدني ومشرب الصافي الهني يا وهاب يا غني. اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. اللهم ألهمنا علما نفقه به أوامرك ونواهيك وارزقنا فهما نعرف به كيف نناجيك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم إنا نسألك فهم النبيين وحفظ المرسلين وإلهام الملائكة المقربين في عافية يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم أغننا بالعلم وزينا بالحلم وأكرمنا بالتقوى وجملنا بالعافية يا أرحم الراحمين. آمين. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. اللهم إنا نستودعك ما قرأناه وما نقرأه في هذا المجلس وما قبله وما بعده فاحفظه علينا حتى ترده إلينا وقت احتياجنا إليه يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم إنا نسألك اللهم أكرمنا بالنور الفهم وأخرجنا من ظلمات الوهم وافتح لنا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا حكمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. آمين. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. اللهم يا من مقاليد الأمور كلها بيده وإليه يرجع أمر كله يا فتاح يا عليم يا فتاح يا عليم يا فتاح يا عليم. افتح علينا فتحا قريبا. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي وسدد لساني واهدي قلبي وافعل كذلك بأحبابي أبدا وارزقنا كمال فتوح العارفين والفقه في الدين مع كمال الإخلاص والصدق واليقين والعافية والغنى والنصر والحفظ والنفع والانتفاع وخيرات الدارين وعلوم الأولين والآخرين. آمين. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين. الفاتحة. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. آمين. الحمد لله الحمد لله الحمد لله. Alhamdulillah, we continue with our text that we are studying, which is من كتاب التذكرة الحضرمية فيما يجب على النساء من الأمور الدينية، تأليف العلامة سيد محمد بن سالم بن الحفيظ العلوي الحسيني الحضرمي الشافعي ونفعنا الله به وبعلومه في الدارين. And from the book Necessary Reminders, the Hadrami Reminders, or the Necessary Reminders for every woman about the affairs of her religion, written by the great scholar in Islam, Sayyid Muhammad bin Salim al-Hafiz العلوي الحسيني الحضرمي الشافعي. till where he has said, and we have really come to the chapter on prayer. Right, and last week, right, we spoke about, I actually went into the prayer of a traveler, right? So this one is, we will say it's an add-on. It's not actually in the book. It's not actually in the book. It's an add-on, right? Because this book is a very basic text. And when they write basic texts, right, especially in countries like Hadramaut, like in Yemen, they tend to not include in basic texts prayers of the traveler, right? Because travel is a luxury that the wealthy enjoy, right? So that it is a luxury. It's a luxury that the affluent and the wealthy enjoy, right? And that poor people, they don't travel because travel is expensive, right? To travel, it is expensive, as we have also probably experienced in the this past 2 years of COVID, right? You save a lot of money because you don't travel, you don't go anywhere, right? And when you travel, you end up spending quite a bit of wealth, right? So mashallah. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. All right, so it is, so it is a luxury of the rich, right? So when you look at into especially traditional texts, you will not find them speaking about the prayer of a traveler because it does not concern most people. Most people meaning majority of the people in their land who are the majority of people in their land, they are poor. Right, mashallah. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us of those who are grateful and for what He subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us. Mashallah. Alhamdulillah. All right. So the last week we were on the side where we were speaking about the prayer of the traveler, and he was speaking about combining prayers as well as there are two types of prayers, right? Basically combining the combination of prayers, and we spoke about the conditions about them. And I'm going through, I'm not really going through in depth, right? But I'm just going through basically what we need to know lah. Right? Basically, right, what we need to know about this about these things. Okay, alhamdulillah. Just get this thing. Okay. All right. So last week we spoke about the commanding of prayers. Right? So you can combine prayers ahead of its time, or you can combine prayers later after its time. Right? So Maghrib, Asar into Zohor, or Isha into Maghrib, right? Or you can bring Zohor into Asar, or Maghrib into Isha. All right. So that's this called this Jama' Taqdeem and Jama' Ta'khir. I didn't finish going through everything, is it? Okay, let me just go through this lah. Okay, bismillah. Okay, to bring the prayer later forward, right? That's called Jama' Taqdeem. Right? And so you have to make the intention to bring forward the later prayer while praying the earlier prayer. So while you're still in the rak'ats of the earlier prayer, be it 4 rak'ats or 2 rak'ats, depending, right? While you're in the prayer, at any point in the prayer, just intend, I am combining Asar into Zuhur. Right? You can say in Arabic if you want, Nawaitu Jama' Taqdeem Asar fi Zuhur. All right. So if you want to say in Arabic, but if you want to say in English, it's up to you. It's easier, right? Just do it. English, there is no you say virtue, right, in actually doing in Arabic, except that for myself personally, it's just easy to memorize. I find Arabic easier to memorize than English, but I'm sure that for most people, it is easier to just say it in English in your heart. And don't say it out loud. You're going to say it in English, you say it in your heart, and it counts. Right? So after complete the first prayer, send out immediately. It's compulsory to send out immediately. I give the iqamah, sunnah, and then to pray asar as usual. Right, so same method, right, when bringing Isha into Maghrib. Okay, all right. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. Okay, and so once you have done this, and basically the conditions for doing this is that you need to be a traveler the entire time. You have to be a traveler the entire time. Right. So even if, let's say for example, I am in KL, right? I am in Kuala Lumpur. I know I'm going to catch a flight into Singapore, and Singapore is my hometown. Right. So when I'm in KL, right, and it's already 2 p.m., for example, in KL, I know if I catch a flight right, from KL to Singapore, high chances I'm going to reach Singapore by 4, right? High chances, right? If I'm going to take a flight from KL to Singapore, I'll reach Singapore by 4. So technically, I can technically pray Asar in Singapore if I want to. But since I'm a traveler, right, and we can take the concessions of the religion, since I'm a traveler, while I'm in KL right now in Kuala Lumpur, I can pray Zuhur, right, and I can combine Asar into Zuhur. Okay, I can combine my Asar into Zuhur. I am allowed to shorten my prayers because KL is more than 81 kilometers from. There is a difference of opinions. You find other numbers out there. There is a range of opinions as to how far this is. Some say 81, some say it's between 81 and 91 kilometers. Because back in the past, they would consider it. They would just take a rough, gauge, estimate, right? So I usually go on the more conservative side, right? Or if you want, you can go on the other side, right? So basically, so if I'm in KL, right, so I can actually pray Zuhur 2 rakats. I can actually shorten my prayers while I'm in KL. 2 rakats. Is it valid for me to bring forward Asar? Yes, I'm a traveler. I'm a traveler. I can bring forward Asar. So I want to bring forward my Asar into the Zuhur and pray 2 rakats Asar. Okay. Once I've done doing that, I have already prayed Asar. Technically I have already prayed Asar. So I get on my flight at 3 p.m. and I arrive in Singapore at 4 p.m. Right? And then in Singapore, Asar comes in around 4:20, I think, or 4:15, around there, right? So I actually arrived in Singapore and it's still Zohor, and I'm in my hometown. Right? By the time I get home, it's Asar already, but I've prayed my Asar. Do I have to pray Asar again? Answer is no. You don't have to pray Asar again. You have done your Asar. It's done. It's finished. It's done. Right? So you don't actually have to pray Asar again. Even you're like, but I'm home, right? I'm home in my house. And it just adhan the prayer for Asar. Right? And I'm home. You've done Asar. You've done it. Right? It's done. You don't have to pray it again. Okay, so it counts, It counts. Which you can, and it's a leeway, it's a leeway, and it's a concession, right? It's a leniency in the religion. Okay, that is for Jamat Taqdim. Let me just give the conditions for Jamat Ta'khir. Then I'm going to mention about which is actually preferred, right? Whether is it preferred to do Taqdim or Ta'khir. So number 2, the second type of prayer is to delay the earlier prayer and into the later, into the timing of the later prayer. Okay, to spell it out, right? Delay and Zuhur, delayed into Asar timing, right? Or Maghrib, delayed into Isha timing. I think later on I have to do like what counts as a traveler. Let me just put it here, traveler, right? I'm spelling the word traveler wrongly. I keep underlying my traveler. Is it wrong? Okay. Okay. What is a traveler? Right? A traveler, right, is someone who has left the boundary of his hometown, right? His hometown or the town in which he has settled. So it's either your hometown or a town in which you have settled in, which I'll give a definition later on, right? Settling, the definition of settling Islam is to intend to stay in a place that is not your hometown for more than for 4 days and more, or 4 days and more. Okay, that's called settling. Okay, right. So once you have settled, even if it's the first day you've arrived at your destination, you have settled. Right. So therefore, you are no longer a traveler. Okay, so I hope this makes it clear. Right, settling, right, a settler, I guess, is to intend to stay in a place that is not your hometown for 4 days, right, and more. Okay, a person is no longer considered or termed a traveler that once he has intended to settle. Okay, all right. So, all right. So someone left the boundary of his hometown and will settle in for either a short or a long travel. And there's a difference, okay? Because for short travels, right, you can, for short travels, allowed to jama', allowed to combine prayers, but not shorten. Okay, for long travel, you're allowed to combine and travel and shorten. Allowed to combine and shorten. Okay, long travel, basically is the one that goes more than 81 km. Okay, all right. Okay, short travel is less than 81 km. Right, last week I mentioned that if I were to go to Pontian, for example, right, Pontian is a short travel, but I have left the boundary of my hometown. Right, so the moment I leave the boundary of Singapore, of my hometown, and I go into the plantations of Tuas, not Tuas, I mean, what's that place after Tuas? I never find out what's it called, right? The place that is in Malaysia that's after Tuas. I like in from Woodlands, Woodlands goes into Johor Bahru. Tuas goes into the Tuas, the Malaysia side checkpoint, which I don't know what it's called. Never found out. But I know that. So once you go into the Malaysian side checkpoint, what's it called? Anyone here knows? Never actually. Gelang Bata, eh? Is it Gelang Bata? I still don't know. Gelang Bata, eh? Okay. So once you go into Gelang Bata, then you are a traveler lah. You're a traveler, right? You have come into the plantations of Malaysia. So even though I'm going to Pontian, so for example, Pontian is very near. It's not more than 81 kilometers. I can combine immediately already. I can begin my combination. I can begin combining my prayers on my way to Pontian if I want to. It's only a few hours to Pontian anyway, right? But if let's say I want to stop one of the rest points and I want to combine my Zuhr and Asar, I can do so, no problem, right? But I cannot shorten. Why? Because it's not far enough. Okay, right? But if let's say I get into Gelang Patah, right? So right after Tuas, I go into, I apologize to those who are not Singaporean. This is very Singaporean context, right? So if I leave Tuas and go to Gelang Patah, and I actually intend KL, it all goes back to your intention. I'm intending KL. I want to go up to KL, right, to Kuala Lumpur. And there is more than 81 kilometers. Okay, it's more than 81 kilometers. I can immediately at Gelang Patah, I can jama' and qasar. I can shorten and I can combine immediately. I can start doing so. Okay, right. But the moment I reach my destination and I intend to settle in this destination, and what is the definition of settling? The definition of settling is to stay there for 4 days and more, not counting day of arrival. If you arrive after subuh, if you arrive before subuh, then a day counts. So day of arrival after subuh means after the azan of fajr, right? And then not counting the day of departure. Same thing, idea of departure meaning after subuh, right? After fajr. So if you depart after fajr, that day is not counted. If you depart before fajr, that day is counted. No, sorry. Yeah, that's the day of departure lah. This is the day of arrival that I'm talking about. The day of arrival. Okay, right. So let's see. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. Right. So not for this, a more person who longer as a traveler once he has intended to settle. All right. So be very clever. So be very careful. If someone has not intended to settle in a place, right, and has no, let me just read it as a separate line. All are important things. I know it's not in the book, right? But because we're such frequent travelers, as Singaporeans and also Westerners, like we're all really frequent travelers. So it's really important for us to memorize this, because so many times I get messages of people who are currently traveling. They're in travel right now, and they text me asking for a full explanation of Jama' and Qasar. Right, so now we put it out there, right, on the speaker. So anybody were to message you on Jama' and Qasar, you send them these lectures, right? So let them understand what is Jama' and Qasar. Right? So don't halfway through. There was once one of my friends went on a trip to China, and then there's a group of Muslims went to China, and nobody in the entire group knew anything about Jama' and Qasar, and they were just doing it anyhow. Right. So and the worst thing is that you do it anyhow, right? Anyhow you want, then you end up with prayers not being valid. Right? And that's not what you want. Right? So learn these things well. I would say it is fardu ain for us who regularly travel. It is fardu ain for us to regularly travel, or compulsory to learn this knowledge for anyone who wants to go and travel or who regularly travels, right? So you don't make mistakes as you are in travel. Then if you text me and then you're in a different time zone and then I'm in a different time zone, then prayer times go past you and I didn't see my message, and I don't answer you. All these are problems lah. And so I want to emphasize like learning this well and memorizing this. Can you all please memorize this? I memorize, because you don't want to be on travel and you're like, hey, I forgot what are the conditions, or I forgot how to do Jama, I forgot how to do Kasar, I forgot, subhanallah. Memorize this, okay, because it's really applicable knowledge. And they're all applicable knowledge, inshallah. So if someone who has not intended to settle in a place and has no idea how long they will stay there, then they are considered travelers for a maximum of 18 days. Interesting, eh? It's interesting law. So, for example, this actually happened in real life. Whenever I learned this, I always think, when would this actually happen? Someone, not intending to settle in a place, but staying there and have no clue how long they're going to be there. When would this actually happen? So usually in the books of fiqh, right, in the books of law, of jurisprudence, they'll give an example like, for example, if somebody were to go to a town to give birth, right? They go to a town, right, to give birth, or they go to a town for an operation, for a medical treatment, and they don't know when they're going to give birth, or you don't know when they're going to get this operation done, right? Because it really could be any time. It could be any time. And the moment they have it done, they're going to leave the town the next day. Right? It's possible that someone does that. Right? Because they go to a town, they want to give birth there, right? And the moment they give birth, they want to get up and leave the very next day, right? So they have no clue when they're going to give birth. Right? So it could be anytime from tomorrow, right? The very next day when they arrive, or in 10 days. It really could be like a whole range of days that you could be there, right? So for such a person who has no idea how long they're going to stay where they are staying, they can hold the term of traveler for a maximum of 18 days. And this just happened recently with my sister. And my sister had traveled to Misr, Egypt, I think a month ago, right? And she traveled to Egypt without having a visa to Yemen. And she was hoping that she would get her visa into Yemen from Egypt, right? So while she is in Egypt, okay? So when she traveled to Egypt, right, she texted me and she was like, hey, if I am in Egypt for more than 4 days, for example, then I cannot Jama' and Qasr anymore. Then I said to her, how long am I going to stay in Egypt? And then she was like, no clue, no idea how long I'm going to stay in Egypt. She said, the moment the visa comes out, we're going to just book the first flight and go off already, to go to Tarim, to go to Yemen. And then I said, then in that case, you fall under this category, of people who have no idea how long they're going to stay there. You have no idea. You're just waiting for the visa to come out. So once the visa comes out, you're going to book your flight immediately. And now I'm going to have to text her. Something just occurred to me, because so she was like, really? And I said, yeah, you're given up to 18 days to be travelers. So if you stay for more than 18 days, then you lose the term of traveler and you are a settler. You have settled. All right, you have settled. I told her that you're given a maximum of 18 days, right? So now I have to go and message her now and ask her, because I know that when she did get her visa eventually, after I think about 2 weeks or something, she got her visa. So she could Jama' and Qasr the entire time. But actually, with the moment she got her visa, right, and then she books a flight, At this point in time, she knows how long she's going to stay in Egypt, right? Because the moment, so it didn't occur to me. Now it has occurred to me. I have to go and message her and ask her if she just continue to combine and shorten her prayers the entire time. Because the moment she got her visa and she could book her flight to Yemen, I think it was about a week, right? So which means that she already made an intention to stay more than 4 days and more. Right, the moment she got her visa, right, and then she could book her next flight, it was actually the earliest flight was a week from the moment she got her visa. It was a week, right? So which means that the entire time in that week she cannot jamak, she cannot combine, and she cannot shorten, which didn't occur to me until right now. So I'm gonna have to text her about it. Mashallah, that's why it's amazing, like things just occur, you know. And whenever I teach, things this occurred. This like Allah saw this flaw, and of course Allah saw the flaw, you know, or saw the lack of understanding, or Allah saw the oversight, you know, like Allah saw the oversight, like on my part. And then right now he's like, you know, giving a nudge. Hey, you took your sister the wrong thing. I told her 18 days, and it didn't occur to me that the moment she got her visa, and she knows when she's going to leave, she already is counted as a settler, and she cannot jama' and kasar. So I need to go and call her later, WhatsApp her, and she has to qada her prayers lah. It's an honest mistake. So all she has to do is qada the prayers that she prayed in jama' and kasar on those days, whereby she knew she's no longer a traveler and she's actually a settler. It's so subtle. It's so subtle, like you don't realize that, have I just changed in my status from traveler to settler? Like, or am I now a settler or a traveler? You know, what am I? Mashallah. Right, so then and in accordance to your status, right, the law comes. Right? Are you a traveler or a settler? You know, so be very clear about this. Right? It is a misconception in our society, especially in Singapore, that people think you are given up to 3 days to combine and to shorten after you have settled. No, that is wrong. Right? The moment you arrive, you have settled, if you intend to stay for 4 days and more. Okay, I hope that is clear. Don't think that you're given up to 3 days to shorten and combine, right? When you have already intended to stay there for 4 and more days. Okay, so it's a big problem when people they go overseas and then they do this. Right? However, I want to just show if you're always on the move, if you're constantly on the move, then you are not a settler. Let me just give. This happened when I was at New Zealand. It did occur to me, you know, when I was in New Zealand, like with my husband, some time ago lah. Like, are we settlers? Because you were there for about 2 weeks, right? And then we were traveling around, right? But then, let me show you all. Okay. So, like for example, if you go on can you all see it? Yeah. Okay, if you go on a trip, right, to this kind of countries where you can go, like you can just, you know, like rent a car and then travel around, right? So for as long as you are on the move, see, right? So when so like for example, if I travel to New Zealand at that time, like I came to Christchurch to see my uncle, right? And then I only stayed there for 1 day, right? 1 day in Christchurch. Then straight away we began to drive. So we went to the Tekapo, and so basically every single point of New Zealand, I never stayed more than 1 night. It was only 1 night. Every single point was 1 night. So which means even though I was in the entire of New Zealand, right, for more than for almost 2 weeks, right, for almost 2 weeks, I was in the entire New Zealand for almost 2 weeks, right, I never settled. There was never a settling that happened. I was constantly on the move. Right. So it's regardless of like, but you know, you it's not all 81 kilometers. What is 81 kilometers from my hometown? My hometown is here. Where's my hometown? Here. Where's my hometown? It's so far. Okay, Singapore. I didn't realize it was that far. Okay, yeah, it's more than 81 kilometers from my hometown, right? So the entire time I'm more than 81 kilometers from my hometown, and the entire time I'm just traveling around the island, right? So the entire time I'm not a settler. So the entire time I can jama' and I can kasar, right? No problem. Okay. Let's go back here. Okay. So, Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. Okay, so I hope this part makes it, I hope this part helps. Let's put it an underline here. Okay, I hope this part helps. Okay. Okay. Naam. Okay, so let me see some questions here. First question. So they say I travel and I know I'll be staying at a hotel already booked for hand for 4 more days. Then you're not a traveler the moment you reach your hotel. Okay. As you're not, so while you are traveling, of course you're a traveler lah. Right. So while you're traveling, you're a traveler. Right. Of course. Right. But the moment you have reached the place whereby you want to settle, you have settled. Right. Okay. So it's a matter of reaching the place, right? The entire time you're traveling, you are a traveler, right? The moment you have arrived at your place, what I was saying is that some people have the misconception that when they've arrived at their hotel and they already intend to stay there for a week, they still Jama and Qasar for 3 days and then they pray normal after that. That is not permissible and that is not counted. Okay, you cannot do that, right? The moment you intend to stay there, not travel there, but stay there for 7 days. And let's say we travel from point A to point B, 181 kilometers, then we stay at point B for 3 days and go to point C for again. Point C doesn't have to be more than 81 kilometers from point B, right? Point C, okay, I'll give an example of this scenario, okay? So you go to point C where it's more than 81 kilometers again and stay in point C for 2 days. Then you go to point B, stay for another 3 days. Can I Jama and cover the whole trip? Yes, answer is yes. Okay, answer is yes. Yeah. So that means I'm not settling anywhere. Right. So the example that I give, somebody asked a question, there's a about New Zealand from one city to another that it doesn't need to be more than 81 kilometers. No, it's 81 kilometers from my hometown. From my hometown or from the place of settling. Right, from my hometown or from the place of settling. Right, so I didn't settle at all. There was no settling anywhere. I never settled. I'll give you another example in a while. Because I hope people are understanding this. I hope you all are enjoying fiqh. Fiqh is fun. It is. There's a fun in fiqh. If you're traveling in camper van with water facilities, I don't understand your question. I don't answer your question. How did the knowledge come about that we can Jama and Qasr for 3 days once we reach? That's why I also don't know. Someone asking, where did this misconception come about that you can Jama and Qasr for 3 days once your destination after traveling? Yeah, it's something that is quite widespread in our society. But I checked so many fiqh books. I couldn't find it. I couldn't find it anywhere. I really checked and I checked my teacher and they checked. The other mazhabs are actually more strict, you know. The Shafi'i mazhab is the most lenient one about this Jama' and Qasar thing. You know, the other mazhabs, they take on the Shafi'i mazhab when they travel because we're actually more lenient. Like other mazhabs, you cannot Jama' unless you're at Hajj. Only when you're at Hajj, you can Jama'. You know, subhanallah. Like we all, you can go for a holiday and party, you know, I mean, in a sense, you can go for like a beach holiday or whatsoever, somewhere in Tioman, and you can literally Jama', you know, if you're going to be there for less than 4 days. Right. But in other mazhabs, I know my friends who are Hanafi, when they travel to Yemen, and everybody in Yemen is Shafi'i. So when you travel to Yemen, the whole bus are Shafi'is. And they're like the only Hanafi people there. And then and they know the bus will not stop for every single prayer. And the bus will only stop for one time for you to Jama' your Zuhur and your Asar. And then they will stop again in the night for Jama' Maghrib and Isha. Right. So they won't stop for every single prayer. So the Hanafis will all take on the Shafi'i mazhab because they have no choice. The bus is not going to stop because they're all Shafi'i. Right. But so I don't know where this thing came from, right? About being able to Jama' and Qasar for 3 days. I'm not so sure where it came from. Okay. Okay, let me ask a few questions here. Right. The question here in your KL example, you said that we can combine our prayers in KL because you're going to Singapore. Because, yeah, but maybe I don't answer the question. The question is here in your KL example, you said that we can combine our prayers in KL because you're going to, or the flying one, because you're going to fly back to Singapore, right? The question is, can we start combining our prayer even if we haven't started our travel at that point? If you're not a settler, for as long as you're not a settler, you are a traveler the entire time. Okay? As long as you're not a settler, you're a traveler the entire time. So the example that I gave about praying Zuhur and Asar in KL and then taking a flight to Singapore, right? I am taking the example that I am a traveler, right? That means I'm still under the status of traveler, right? I'm not, I used to do this quite a bit before COVID. I used to leave Singapore on Sunday, right? And then I would I would go to KL, I would conduct classes there, then I'll come back to Singapore by Monday. It's a 1 day trip, right? So the entire time I'm a traveler, the entire time I'm a traveler. But of course, if you have settled in KL, right? If you have settled in KL, you have lost the status of traveler. So you cannot combine nor shorten your prayers anymore because you have settled, right? In that case. Okay. I hope you understand, right? So someone said here to the New Zealand trip, in a camper van with toilet and water facilities where there is space for toilet. Being able to jama and qasar is regardless of ability to pray complete prayers. Is regardless. Right? Being the ability or the permissibility of doing jama and qasar is not because it's difficult to actually pray your prayers on separately on time, right? But it's a permissibility that the religion has given to us. It's a concession from the religion, right? From the Sharia, right? So it's regardless, right? So if I'm completely comfortable my entire trip, right? Like, so for example, if I fly to KL, right? And then I go to stay there for 3 days. And the whole time I'm in the hotel, I'm not going anywhere. I'm just relaxing in my hotel. I can pray my prayers together and I can combine my prayers even if I have no reason to do so. Like I'm perfect. I'm just in my hotel the entire time for 3 days. I'm just, like lying down on my bed in my hotel. For example, if I'm doing that, I can literally just combine and shorten my prayers all the time. I mean, for 3 days, right? Because I'm a traveler. So it's regardless of the comfort that you are in. It's regardless. Okay, so it's a concession. That's what you say. It's a concession, right, of the religion, right? Which is that we are encouraged to take it, right, because it's there, right? So when Allah gives us a leniency in the religion, we're actually encouraged to take it. And it's more virtuous for us to actually take the concession, right? Because it's from the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He has given this, unless you are in the place whereby prayer is more virtuous, like in the case of Mecca and Medina. So of course, if you're going to Mecca and Medina, you're going to stay in Mecca for 3 days. Don't combine your prayers lah. Pray your prayers all on time. You're at masjid, right? You're at Mecca and you're going to Medina, right? So of course, unless the place where you're at, right, is more virtuous to actually pray the prayers on time and to pray full prayers. Okay, right. So like I'm gonna jama in Kasar and Mecca and Medina. Doesn't make sense. Okay. To delay the earlier prayer, so I hope that one's clear. So this one is called jama' ta'khir. There's the word. It is jama' ta'khir. Okay, jama' ta'khir. I'm gonna give the conditions for it. So jama' ta'khir. Jama' ta'khir, right? So the intention, right, to make the intention anytime during the prayer time of the earlier prayer. Okay, right? And you say, I am combining Zuhur into Asar. Okay, that's all you say. I'm combining Fard Zuhur into Asar. Right, so anytime during the prayer time of the earlier prayer. Right, so for example, right, any time from, like Zuhur right now is 1:10, right, from 1:10 p.m. to, and Asar is 4:12. Let's say put 4:11 lah, 4:11 p.m. So anytime from 1:10 p.m. to 4:11 p.m., I can intend to delay Zuhur into Asr. I intend to combine Zuhur into Asr. If you don't make this intention anytime in the prayer time of Zuhur, and Zuhur goes out and now it's Asar time, you are counted as someone who missed Zuhur. Or you are counted as someone who has missed the Zuhur prayer. Okay? Right. So, but when you make this intention, then there is no sin on you because you have not missed it, but you are intending to do it in Asar time because you are a traveler. All right. So same thing for Maghrib to Aisha. Right. So at Maghrib time, at any point in Maghrib time, I'm going to say I intend to combine Maghrib with the Isha prayer. Okay. Wait, let me just put it here again. Prayers must be done for Jamaat Taqdim, done in order. And that means you pray Zuhur first and then Asar. Right? So which means i.e. Zuhur, then Asar. Right? Zuhur first and then Asar, or Maghrib, then Isha. Okay, because for Ta'khir, there is no ruling of order. There is no ruling of order, right? So then just pray lah. Just pray both prayers in the later prayer timing, right? So basically, e.g. in Asar time, right? There is no condition of there is no condition of continuity, right? No sequence, order. Okay, there is no condition of continuity in order. So basically, which is why I tend to recommend to people to do takhir. It's actually easier to do takhir. Technically, so once I'm in, for example, right now I'm in Zuhur. Okay, I'm in Zuhur. I intend in my heart I'm gonna pray Zuhur in Asar. Okay, so I'm on my flight, right? I'm flying to, for example, Mecca. Okay, so I left, for example, I left Singapore at 3 p.m. Allahumma salli Muhammad. Okay, let's say I left Singapore at 11 a.m. Okay, I left Singapore at 11 a.m. Right, and I'm on flight, and I'm flying to Mecca. Okay, I know I will arrive in Mecca at 5 p.m. And I've checked that 5 p.m. in Mecca, it is Asar time, and not Maghrib. It's Asar. Right, so I check 5 p.m. in Mecca, it's Asar time. Okay, or in Jeddah, I'll fly in Jeddah. So 5 p.m. in Jeddah is Asar time. So when I'm on the plane, right, comes in Zuhur. Okay, Zuhur comes in, the Zuhur time comes in while I'm on the plane. So I say to myself, I intend to do Zuhur in Asar time, or nawaitu jamak ta'khir Zuhur fil Asr lillahi ta'ala. Right? So I intend to delay my Zuhur, right? Or to combine my Zuhur into Asar for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? So I have done my intention. So I have no sin if I don't pray Zuhur. No sin. Because I already intended to do it in Asar time, because I'm a traveler, right? I'm in an airplane. So once I arrive in Jeddah, and I go to the musalla, right, in the airport of Jeddah, I can pray Asar first. Right? So I arrive, I pray Asar, and I'm hungry. So I go out, I find some food at the airport, I eat some food first. I eat whatever I want to do, right? And then I think to myself, you know what, if I go to my hotel now in Mecca, it's still Asar time. It's still Asar time. Okay lah, I'm going to pray Zuhur there lah. I don't pray Zuhur here. So then I take a cab. It's an hour about so to get to my hotel in Mecca. It's still Asar time. I've not missed Zuhur yet. It's still Asar time, and I pray my Zuhur. In my hotel at Mecca. Is that permissible? Yes, permissible. I don't have to do them together. I don't have to do. There is no condition of continuity, and there is no condition of order. Okay. Dah lah. So simple, right? The jamak takhir. Very simple. Just niat during the first prayers time, then just pray both. I pray both prayers. Right? So I can pray Zuhur and Asar separately. I don't have to pray them together. I can pray them separately, and I can pray either one first, whichever I want. to pray first, up to me. Okay, there's no continuity and there is no order. So usually I will recommend that people do ta'khir, right? Why do we recommend ta'khir over taqdim? Like why do we recommend to delay prayer as opposed to bring forward prayer? Is because if, let's say, you mess up the conditions of traveler, right? For example, you got it wrong, you messed it up, right? You forgot what you don't know, you have no idea if you're 81 kilometers, if you're a traveler, not traveler, you don't know. Okay, basically you mess it up. Okay, you mess up the conditions. Okay, or you mess up the way of doing it. You like how to intention, don't know how to intention, don't know put who first, and then must continue all that. Right? So let's say you mess up a lot of things. Okay, and then you don't know what's going on. If you were to mess up, right? If you were to mess up, and you did jamat taqdim, that means you brought forward a later prayer time, a later prayer to the earlier time. Right? If you messed up some of the conditions here, right? Your later prayer that is prayed in the earlier time is, if it's not valid, that means if you being a traveler is not valid or whatsoever, if you doing this entire combining is not valid, then your later prayer has not been prayed. You still owe that prayer. I hope you all get me, As opposed to delaying prayer, right? If you mess up this thing, if you mess up, right? And you pray the prayer later on, that prayer counts as a qada. It actually counts as a qada. You have done a make-up prayer. That means you have done the prayer. Okay, let me give an example. Okay, so for example, and remember I have one example to show you all later on. Okay, so for example, Allahumma salli Muhammad. Right, so for example, right, I want to bring forward Asar into Zuhur. Okay, so for example, I have arrived in KL, right, and I intend to stay in KL for 7 days. Okay, I didn't know about the ruling that I cannot jama in Qasar. I forgot or whatsoever. Okay, so the moment I arrived in KL, I already intended 7 days already, but I'm still doing my jama. Still doing jama. If I jama taqdim, means I bring the prayer forward. Okay, so I prayed Zuhur and I prayed Asar after Zuhur. Okay, technically any jama for me is not counted. Why? Because I'm not a traveler, right? But I'm clueless. Okay, I'm clueless. Okay, I think I'm a traveler, so I go and bring things forward, right? So what has happened is that when I prayed Zuhur and I brought forward Asar timing has not come in technically. So that Asar that I prayed earlier is not counted because the conditions are not met. I'm not a traveler. So that Asar is not counted. So when Asar time comes in, have I prayed Asar? Answer is no, I have not prayed Asar. Right? So if Asar time goes out, it counts that I have missed Asar. I missed Asar. Okay? If I had done a ta'khir instead, all right, so I always recommend ta'khir because it's safer in a sense. If I've done ta'khir instead, okay, so I'm in KL, I've intended, I know I'm going to stay for 7 days. I think I'm a traveler, but actually I'm not, but I think I am. So I'm making a mistake on my part. I made a mistake, right? Messed up. I made a mistake on my part. And I ta'khir. Okay, that means I intend to pray Zuhur in Asar timing. I intend to pray Zuhur later. All right. So when I do that, right, I miss my Zuhur. I intend ta'khir into Asar, right? I missed my Zuhur, right? Technically, my ta'khir is not valid. Technically, delaying the prayer is not valid for me because I'm not a traveler. I'm not a traveler, right? But I think I am, right? But I'm not a traveler technically. So technically, I cannot combine. I cannot combine anymore. So, but I combine anyway, okay? So when I pray Asar and Zuhur at a later timing, right? My Zuhur counts. And my Zuhur counts if I pray 4 rakats, I cannot pray 2 rakat. If I pray 2 rakat, then the whole thing not counted. if I pray 4 rakats for Asar and I pray 4 rakats for Zuhur, right? My Zuhur counts as a qada. It counts as a make-up prayer, right? Because the prayer time has already come in and I owe that prayer. And the prayer time came out and I have not prayed that prayer. So when I pray Zuhur in the Asar time, right, my Zuhur is counted. Because the prayer time has already come in. So it is counted as a make-up prayer. If I prayed 4 rakats, right? If I prayed 2 rakats and the whole thing is all gone because you're not a traveler, you cannot pray 2 rakats. Okay, I hope you all understand that part. Okay, let's do the shortening of prayers. So for shortening prayers is only permissible for someone who intends to travel long distance of more than 81, that's up to 91. There are different opinion about it from the boundary of your hometown or the place that they have settled in. Okay, and I'm going to give the scenario of this thing, because I want to give a scenario of the KL situation. Okay, so 4 rakat is only for 4 rakat prayers. Zuhur, Asar, and Isha shortened to 2. No other prayers can be shortened. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. And you don't have to pray them together. You don't actually have to pray them together. So like, for example, it happened one time I was at Umrah. This is why learn your fiqh well and learn your fiqh well. Okay, I was at Umrah, right? We went, me and my husband, we were in Mecca, right? So we were in Mecca. That day, we we're going to travel to Medina, all right? So we're going to pray Zohor in Mecca, right? And then we're going to take a cab and travel to Medina, and we're going to arrive in Medina already Maghrib time, or I think it was Isha time. Okay, so leaving Mecca at Zohor time, we will get to Medina by Maghrib or Isha. So before the prayer time at the masjid, I told my husband, I remember to pray Asar. Okay, remember to Jama' Taqdim, bring forward Asar, because you're going to be on the road during Asar time. I don't want to take pit stops. Right? I want to just, get the prayers done. Right. So I told my husband, because we're at the Masjid al-Haram, right? So we're separated. I'm at the woman's side, at the men's side. So I just reminded him, I said, go and make sure you do your make sure you do your Jama' taqdim. I bring forward Asr into Zuhur. Right. So we did our tawaf wida, like our farewell tawaf. And then I was with him and I reminded him. And then, because it's important, because it's taqdim. Taqdim means what? You need to do it immediately after Zuhur. You must do it immediately after Zuhur. Right. So I went behind, right, and I prayed. So I prayed Zuhur. And I prayed full Zuhur 4 rakats with the Imam, right? Because it's Jama'ah, right? So it's congregational. So I prayed 4 rakats with the Imam Zuhur. After the Imam gave salams, I got up and prayed 2 rakats Asar, right? Because I'm a traveler. I only stayed in Mecca for 3 days. Okay, so gonna juggle all this in your head. Am I a traveler? Can I pray 2? Can I pray 4? What do I do? So the Imam prayed 4. You're gonna follow the Imam. You pray 4. Right? You cannot shorten behind the Imam. Right? So you cannot join in after the 3rd rakaat and you can pray 2 rakats. No, if the Imam is praying 4, you must pray 4 with the Imam. Okay, so I prayed 4 with the Imam. Right, then I got up straight away. Right, I saw my husband sitting down after Zuhur. He didn't get up. It was in front, like about a few stuff in front. He was sitting down. He didn't get up. And then I got up and I prayed Asar 2 rakats. Okay, so after I prayed Asar, I went to go and find him. Then I said to him, do you pray Asar or not? And then he was like, oh, supposed to pray Asar, is it? I said, I told you, right? Supposed to pray Asar. We're doing Jawat Taqdim. And then he said, okay, I pray now. And then I said to him, no, you can't, right? Because we're doing Taqdim. The time for you to bring forward Asar is gone, right? And you didn't do the intention during Zohor, right? So you must have done the intention for Asar in Zohor, right? And then you must have done your Asar right after Zohor, right? 2 rakats. So he said, then he said, then now what? And now what? Right, now he can't pray Asar already. Right, so taqdim, you can say it's tricky lah. Taqdim, right? Not tricky lah. And if once you know the fiqh of it, it's very easy, right? But to bring forward can be tricky, right? If you forgot to intend, you forgot to pray, then it's the time for it is gone. It's gone, and you can't do anything to get it back. So right now he's prayed Zohor, and he's not prayed his Asar. We're going to leave Mecca already because we did our tawaf wada. We have done our farewell tawaf. We can't do anything else in Mecca. We must leave, right? So, okay, we leave. We leave Mecca and we have no choice but to take a pit stop. No choice, right? So halfway through the travel, to tell the taxi driver, stop by any petrol station whatsoever, or wherever and we're going to pray Asar. He's going to pray Asar. I prayed my Asar already. Like, he's going to pray Asar. And he can pray 2 rakats because he's a traveler, right? So we stopped at some random petrol station, and then he prayed 2 rakats Asar, right? In the time of Asar. You see that? And so you see, once you have not met the conditions of bringing forward the prayer, you cannot do anything about it already. is gone. So you have to pray the prayer at its own time, right? But because you're still a traveler, you can shorten the prayer. So you can shorten the prayer into 2 rakats, all right? So it's not necessary that you must combine and shorten at the same time. It's not necessary. You can very well combine without shortening, and you can shorten without combining, right? Depending on situation. Okay. All right. I want to show a situation. Let me just go back to my map. Okay, not in New Zealand, but let's go to Malaysia again. Where is Malaysia? All right. Can you all see that? Am I sharing the correct screen? Okay. Vicky is fun, right? We all find Vicky fun. Okay. Let's see. Okay. So, okay, question. All right. I traveled from Singapore, a flight, and I went to Kuala Lumpur. Okay. All right. In Kuala Lumpur, I'm on holiday. Okay. So I take trips out of Kuala Lumpur, nearby, right? Nearby trips from Kuala Lumpur, right? With all of my trips, I come back to Kuala Lumpur. Right? So technically my Kuala Lumpur is my, like what do you call it? It's my base, we call it the base, my base, Kuala Lumpur. I'm doing this for a good 2 weeks. Okay, so I fly to Kuala Lumpur. I stay in my brother's house, for example. My brother's in Kuala Lumpur, so I stay in my brother's house. Let me show they can see the built up area. Okay, so while staying in my brother's house, you know, some days I go out, I go to I don't know what is in Kuala Lumpur. And so I go to waterfall, you know, I come back, I go to nature reserve, I come back, I go somewhere else, I come back, and so on. I keep going out of, I keep traveling out, you know. But the entire time I am within the built up area, right? Or I keep coming back. Okay. So if I'm doing that for an entire week, I keep going, or even if I go out and then I stay somewhere here, still built up area. Okay, 1 day, 2 days at a chalet, I come back. I go there to the beach. 1 day, 2 days, I come back. Right? It's still very close. Where's the 10 km? 10, all less than 80 km. Definitely, because 10 km is like this amount. That means like all within 80 km. So I go out here to someone's house. I stay for 2 days. I come back. The entire time, I'm counted as a settler. I'm a settler. I'm not a traveler because I am within my city of settlement. Okay, I'm within the city of settlement. So I'm not going out more than 81 kilometers. Okay, so this basically this situation this situation happened to me a lot when I was in Yemen. When I was in India. Okay, when I was in Yemen, right? So in Yemen, it's not my hometown. Right? Tarim is not my hometown. Tarim is my town of settlement. I have settled in Tarim. Okay, so from Tarim, I follow my teacher out into the villages, right, to do da'wah. Right, so we go out of Tarim. Sometimes we'll sit there for a good 3 days, right? But it's still within the built up area or whatsoever, right? So we're not counted as travel, right? Unless we go quite far out lah, right? Then we have left the built up area. Now you cannot see any built up area. So hard to see built up areas here. It's like desert everywhere, right? But the built up area is very small. So when I go to Seun already, I'm out of the built up area. It's very quick to get out of a built up area because they're all desert people. Okay, let's go back to our class. Can we answer the questions first? Okay. Let's see. Okay, some question here. There is no combining or shortening prayers if it's done qada. Qada is just the entire prayer by the entire prayer whole, right? So you cannot shorten, and there's no combining because you are doing a make-up prayer. You're doing a make-up prayer. Okay, so it's not called combining; it's called make-up. Right? It's called you're making up the prayer. And you cannot shorten the prayer. Yeah. So it's the question here: if I'm on the aeroplane, how do I know if it's Zohor to Niyat Ta'khir? Do you follow Singapore Zohor timing? No, you don't. I know that it's an app that can tell you prayer timing while you're on the plane, but I'm not so sure how reliable the app is. So for me, I will see the plane go past the midday mark on the screen. There's a screen that's on the aeroplane, the screen that shows night and day. So once the plane goes by the mid-line mark, right, I will do my intention for Zohor several times. Several times I'll do my intention for Zohor. Right. So to get the intention in the right timing. Okay, right. So I'm very sure that it will fall in. I will fall in. Right? So usually after it passes the middle mark, I will intend I'm gonna delay Zohor. I'm gonna delay Zohor. Then after an hour, I'm going to delay Zohor. After another hour, I'm going to delay Zohor. I'm going to delay Zohor. So until I know that I'm ready in Asar time. Okay, so should I do it that way? So the intention is jamak takhir niat. For jamak takhir niat, okay, when somebody asks, okay, what if if let's say I got it wrong, right, and I did my takhir wrong and I prayed Zuhur in Asr time, but actually the takhir was wrong, so it will be counted as qada, right? Whether you intend qada or you intend or you don't intend qada, it doesn't matter, right? To intend qada is sunnah, right? To say qada is sunnah, right? It doesn't matter, right? All what is important is that you intended fardu zuhur. Okay, so whether or not you say qada is not a requirement. All right. Okay, question here. You all put your questions all for public lah, because then people cannot see what I'm reading. Right. So preferably, if you all have questions, fiqh questions, right, nothing to be shy about, right? Send the questions to me public so that everybody else can see the questions and they know what I'm talking about and they can refer to the questions. All right. So if possible, right, make your questions public. Otherwise, I will force public questions. Okay. What if we are on a long flight? Which timing do we follow for the prayers in the flight? Due to the time difference, if reach destination, we can it's still their asar time for example, which we have fulfilled in the plane. Does it mean you don't have to do it anymore? Okay. With regards to aeroplane, like please, before you fly, wajib, before you fly, know for the country that you're going to land in, what time it will be. Is it Zohor time or Asr time or Maghrib time? Because the most preferred thing for you to do is to pray on land. Okay, the most preferred thing for you to do is to pray on land and not while flying. Why? Because there's so much ambiguity with regards to flying, right? Because the plane is moving the entire time and moving at top speed. The Qibla is always changing, right? Sometimes you can't even stand properly. You sit in the seats and so on. Right? So as far as possible, avoid having to perform your prayers on the plane, if possible. If you can avoid praying on the plane. So whenever I choose a flight itinerary, also I will check. It's wajib. It's wajib on everyone to check this because it's your salat, it's your prayer. So I will check whenever I choose any flight itinerary. I will check. Like, can I perform my prayers on land? Right? Is it possible for me to do my prayers on land? Right, and then check. Can I do my prayers at Changi Airport? Can I do my prayers at a transit? Can I do my prayers at or at destination? Right. So as far as possible, avoid praying on planes. Avoid it. All right. If you really cannot avoid praying on the plane, right, and you have prayed and you have to pray on the plane, have I gone through the how do you tell prayer timings on planes? I thought I've gone through it. Did I go through the prayer timing on planes? I remember going through it this class, or I didn't go through with you all. Did anyone remember? Someone confirm? I haven't.
I don't think so, Saza.
Not this class, Okay, sorry.
No.
I confused what class I do things. Okay, let me see, So figuring out prayer timings on planes. Let's see if there is an image that we can find online. Day, night, screen on plane. Okay, let's see. Images. Okay. Get a good screen. Okay lah. Okay. This one. Yeah, I don't know where's the proper screen. Wait, let me get a bit. Okay, can find this kind of. Okay, then I draw lah. I cannot find this kind of. I don't know what it's called. What is it called? The time zone screen, eh? What is it called? It's called day night screen, right? Day night screen. Let's see if this works. Okay, never mind. Otherwise, I will draw. They're showing me all kinds of aeroplanes. Yeah, tak apalah. Okay, I draw. Okay, let me just draw it out. Okay, so usually, use my pen. Oh, where's my, no, my tab pen. My magnetic pen. Allah, masih nama right. My laptop pen is that side. Okay, tak apa. Okay, let me just show you all. Okay, so usually on the plane, there is a screen, right? That basically shows the map of the world. Okay, right. So basically, you have Asia, right, going on. Then you have India. You have like that, correct? So, and then Australia and so on. Okay, so usually there's a map of the world, going on. And then they usually draw this thing. There's this thing that they do whereby they draw and choose different color. They draw like blue color. They draw anyone found an image of this thing that they show on aeroplanes? They do this. Do you know this map that they show on the screen of the aeroplane? Right? So is it called the what do they call it? And they show a small tiny aeroplane icon that's flying to show you where you are. What's it called? This thing. And then they tell you that so then you can see, you know, on the aeroplane, you can see that this part is night, right? They actually shade this part and they shade this part, right? And then there's this thing, right? I hope you all know what I'm talking about, right? The flight path. Yes, flight path. Let's see if I can find that one. Okay, so basically, they show the flight. They show the flight. I call it the day and night screen. Because I use it to figure out the day and night. Right, flight path, Light path screen. Plane. Okay. Yeah, you all were right. It's called the flight path screen. But then the flight paths that they show here do not show anything. They don't show where's day and where's night. Okay, so basically it looks like this, right? Flight path screen. Tak apalah, I cannot find a good image. Usually they have like good images on the aeroplane itself. The aeroplane itself will give you like a good image. Okay, tak apalah. Okay. All right, so there's this thing called the flight path or in-flight map, in-flight map. All right, so they have this thing, right? And they actually on this thing, right? They will tell you where's the night, the line for the night, right? And where's the daytime. They kind of, so it's like a rough estimate lah. It's like a rough estimate. Okay, Allah. The rough estimate. So they tell you that here's the daytime. This whole thing is the daytime. Okay. So usually what I do is that do a rough estimate, right? So why I really avoid praying in planes. There's a lot of assumption going on, a lot of assumption, a lot of deficiencies in prayer, a lot of ambiguity as regards to prayer, right? And some scholars say that the plane is constantly moving, right? So where's the qiblat? Because we're always moving, and you're moving at top speeds, right? So it's difficult to determine. And for me personally, if I have to pray on the plane, I have no choice. I will always do a qada anyway. When I get on the ground, my feet firmly on the ground, I will qada the prayers that I prayed on board. I will just qada, right? Just to get my prayers right. So get out, and we need to actually put in effort to get our prayers right. Right. So there's a middle line. Let me use orange. Okay. So the middle line on the daylight, right? I've not checked out the app that tells you prayer times on the ground, right? Because technically, if I leave Singapore, Singapore's here, right? Singapore, SG. Okay, if I leave Singapore, wherever I'm traveling, right, on my flight path, I am on the timing of that land that I am traveling over, right? So for me, for example, if I know Singapore is, for Zohor is 1 o'clock, it's between 1 to 4. That's Singapore Zohor timing, right? So to pray at 2 o'clock is a very safe time to pray Zohor in Singapore. I have no idea the timings for prayer over India. So if I'm flying over India, right, maybe right now on the airplanes, you can actually Google, you have internet. You can go and Google and you go and search, why am I over right now? Am I over Kerala? Am I over, like I don't know, Bombay, where am I? Right, so you check where you're over right now and you can check the land if you want to. The land right now that I'm over, because India's a subcontinent, it's big. Right? So you can't even say that the prayer timing in the one part of India is the same as the prayer timing in another part of India. You won't even know that. Right. So in some countries, like if 2 o'clock would not be Zohor, 2 o'clock would be already Asar. Right. For all we know, we don't know. Right? In other countries, the prayer timings can really shift. Right? Unlike in Singapore, whereby it's more or less constant through the year, like half an hour difference, right? So you really don't know. So for me, usually what I would check, right, is that once the airplane goes beyond the halfway mark on the daylight, right, on the daylight, once the airplane goes beyond the halfway mark on the daylight, right, I will begin to do my intentions for Zuhur. Okay, but I will not pray Zuhur. It means I will intend to delay my Zuhur. Okay, I will intend to delay my Zuhur. Right, once I see the airplane goes beyond the middle line, high chances is already Zuhur. Right, and I will just make myself yakin, right, and I will do my intentions. Okay, right. Once I go beyond the middle line. Okay, if let's say I know I'm going to arrive at destination in the night. Okay, so wherever I'm going, so maybe I'm going to Mecca, so it's the Arabian Peninsula. So I'm going to Mecca. I know I will arrive Maghrib already. It's going to be Maghrib by the time I arrive. So which means I got to do my Zohor and Asar on board. So maybe I left Singapore in the morning, right? So it was not Zohor time yet. Okay, so I know Zohor and Asar must be done on board, right? So as the plane approaches the night line, so the night boundary, as the plane approaches the night line, I know with certainty right now it's Asar. Because I can't tell where is Asar. There's a big question mark here. I can't tell where is Asar. Okay, sorry, I wrote in Arabic direction. Okay, there's a big question mark. That's correct. I'm confused. There's a big yeah, now okay. There's a big question mark. There's a big question mark here. Right. So where is Asar? I have no idea where is Asar. And I'm not so sure also where is exactly where is Zohar. All right. And again, as I mentioned, Takhir. Right. Takhir is just safer. Do Takhir. So around this point, when I see the aeroplane, still on daylight, I look out and also use the sky to help you. Use the sky. So I look at the sky. It's still kind of bright. The sun is yellowing. Yellowing means orange, coming, yellowish. Somewhat can see the sun is definitely not Zohar anymore. It's Asar, right? So now I'm going to pray my combining Zohar into Asar at this point. Okay, all right. So for Zohar and Asar, usually I'll pray both at Asar time and I will do a Jamak Takhir. I will delay Zohar into Asar. At any point on these points, I will do my intention for Zohar. Okay, I'll be doing my intention for Zohar into Asar. Okay, and then I'll pray. So trying my best to do it. Okay, with regards to Qiblat, some aeroplanes will give you this screen. Let me just draw another screen. See lah, never mind. I draw a screen. There's this kind of screen, draw small from the side. Like some aeroplanes, right, like Saudi and Malaysian Airlines, right, they will show you a screen of the aeroplane like this, right? And then they will draw a small Kaaba. Hope you all know these things exist. They'll draw a small Kaaba. So which means that Qiblat this way. Okay, so if the cabin is this way, Qiblat that way. The Qiblat is that way. Some airplanes have this. If you find this, then search for this in the screen. It's somewhere in your in-flight information screen. It's somewhere there lah. Right. So you know where's the Kaaba. Okay. If you're on an airline that does not provide this kind of screens, which is why for me, I like to prefer airlines that are by the Muslims lah. Especially like no, I don't take Qatar Airlines. Qatar Airlines doesn't allow you to stand and pray. So I don't like Qatar Airlines. Right? They will actually stop you from standing and praying. Oman Air gives you space at the back to pray. Saudi has a musalla inside the plane. they actually remove like I think 4 rows of seats and make into a musalla. There's a musalla in the plane, and Saudi does not serve alcohol. So mashallah, barakah. Malaysian Airlines will give you this Kaaba picture. Okay, and they read dua before flying. Saudi Malaysian Airlines, they will all read dua before you read the dua of travel before you fly. So I tend to go for the Muslim ones because it's easier for you to pray, right? So wherever the Kaaba is, okay, if you're in an airline whereby there is no Kaaba picture, right, then you're gonna have to just figure this out lah. Like where is Mecca? Look at the map. Right, the plane is flying this way. Right, so maybe for example you're going up to the UK, so you're not going to Mecca, but you're going to the UK. Right, the plane is flying like that. Right, Mecca is here. You look at the map, where is Mecca? No, Mecca is here. Okay, Mecca is here. So you're gonna do a rough estimate that the Qibla is this way lah. Right, from the map. Okay, so you're gonna do a rough estimate, where's the Qibla? Okay, all right. For Maghrib and Isha, how do you do it now? In class, sorry, I direct today. So for Maghrib and Isha, once the plane goes beyond the that's not a good color. Let me use red. Okay, once the plane goes beyond the night line, right, and you're into night, look into the horizon. I will look into the sky, to the horizon, and see the sunset. So with my own eyes, so now it's yaqeen with your eyes. With your eyes, you're going to see the sunset below the horizon. If you can see that, there's no cloud cover or whatsoever. So you can see the sunset. Okay, so now with yaqeen, with certainty, it is Maghrib. It is Maghrib. So you make your intention to delay Maghrib into Isha. Okay, make your intention to delay Maghrib into Isha. Right, so if you have not landed by the time to pray Isha, so for example, you're going to travel to America, right? So you go far travel. Right, so and by the time you arrive in America, it's bright in the day, right? So you're gonna have to do Zohor and Asar on the plane, Maghrib and Isha on the plane, and it's possible lah. If you're going to go to America, it's really quite a distance, so far, furthest flight I've ever taken, right? It's on that side of the world, right? So if you're going to America, so let's say you see Maghrib, the sunset, right? Okay, good niat, jama' takhir. So again, go for takhir because it's just easier. Right, it's easier and it's safer to do takhir. So you intend takhir Maghrib into Isha. Okay, I intend to combine and to delay Maghrib into Isha once I see the sun has set and I have full certainty the sun has set. Okay, so somewhere in the night, any point in the night, get up and pray Isha and pray Maghrib. Okay, any point in the night. Okay, of course, if you have landed, then it's better to do it when you have landed. Okay, what about Subuh? All right, what about Subuh? So I'm traveling on the plane, right, and I'm in the night time. My flight, what do you call this? What is called? The travel line, the travel line, right? Is in the night time. So I and again, be aware, don't sleep. Like sleep the whole time, then forget your prayers, forget everything. No, don't do that, right? So you're gonna put alarms for yourself, right? So okay, I'm traveling. It's gonna be like about a few hours till I come into daytime. Maybe you're traveling over China, for example, like going over China. Okay, so you see the plane is coming closer towards the daytime line. Okay, now cue, when you see the plane is coming close to the daytime line, look out the window. Look out the window, you use your eyes. Use your eyes to figure out Fajr. Okay, because you cannot depend on the lines. The lines are there as an estimate to help you to know when to look out. Look out into so even Zohar and Asar, you can look out and look at the sun. And sometimes you can see the shadows on the earth. Okay, you see the shadows on the earth, you can see, is it like Zohar, noon? You can kind of figure it out. Right? Sometimes I try doing that. Right? But I will look at the sun because you have learned about the sun, right? And the movement of the sun, of the sun, right? So I will look out, right? And I will see, can I see the any light appearing on the horizon? Right? So the moment, and it's very obvious, Fajr is very obvious. You can see the light emerge because it takes some time for the sun to rise. Right, so once you see that it's clearly the sky is bright right now and the sun has not risen yet, the sky is bright, get up and pray subuh, right? So around here, I'll start looking out of the window, okay, and I will see. So usually it's around here that I will see that the sky is light blue. The blue is lightening up, which means it's already Fajr. It's already Fajr. Right? So I'm going to get up and pray 2 rakaat subuh. I cannot combine anything lah. I must pray subuh itself, right? And then you can watch sunrise lah if you want to. And then after all of that, right? And as far as you can, you need to stand and pray in the plane as far as you can. That's why I avoid airlines that don't allow for it. Right? So I avoid Qatar. Go speak against Qatar Air. Right? I avoid Qatar Air because they will actually scold you for standing up and praying. Right? So I avoid Qatar. Oman Air gives us a place to pray at the back. They actually give us sejadah and everything. MashaAllah, I like them. Saudi has a musalla, so comfortable. You don't feel so guilty praying in the middle of nowhere, also self-conscious. Malaysian Airlines also, they're very gracious about it. Right? A lot of the like other airlines, so not bad. Brunei Air, very, very nice airline. If you ever travel Brunei Air lah. Right? So all of these airlines, so you see lah, which airlines at. So if let's say they really don't allow you to stand out and pray, they don't allow, you can always find space. In every airline, there's always a space at the back with the crew, the stewards, or at the front, the front row, there's like a lot of space there. Right? You can actually pray there. In a small area, pray, you're gonna qasar anyway. You're gonna shorten anyway. Right? So you can just pray there. Right. But if you pray sitting down, at your seat, then definitely you must qada when you reach the ground. Definitely you must qada. If you pray seated on your seat, right, in the aeroplane, because your qibla is all wrong, right? And you're seated, you're not standing. So your prayer is deficient. So you definitely must qada. You must do a makeup the moment you land. Inshallah, no sin because you have no choice, right? But if you have a choice, you must stand. And for me, I know that, so if you stand and you're very sure your prayer is valid, then it's valid lah. But for me, I will do a qada anyway. I'll just qada when I'm on the ground because like of the movement of the aeroplane and the Kaaba and I don't know where's the Qibla and all that. Right. So I tend to do that lah. I tend to do that. Okay. So I hope that one is clear. Let's see that I covered the question, that one. Okay, is it 10:13 let me see. Yeah, so the question that somebody asked that if you're on a long flight, right, what timing do you follow? You follow your ilmu, you follow your knowledge. You've learned prayer timings already. So you follow your knowledge of the map, you follow your knowledge of the sun. You're gonna do an ijtihad. It is called ijtihad. I am striving to figure out prayer timings. I have yet to check the app. I know there's an app. I can't remember what it's called, but app to know prayer timings while on flight. I'm gonna go and check the app. See if how accurate it is. But I tend to not trust apps also. Like, which timing do you follow? So again, on flight, you're gonna do an ijtihad. Okay, right. So if you reach destination and it's still Asar period, for example, right? And you've done Asar already on the plane, I would say pray Asar on land. I pray Asar on land because there's so many deficiencies when it comes to praying in plane, right? And so much ambiguity. And when it comes to praying in plane, right, I would say pray your Asar and Zuhur on land, and whatever prayer you pray in the plane, pray it on land as well. Right, just to be safe lah. Be safe. Let's say every time you left the place settle, you travel more than 81 kilometers, can you jama' and qasar? You don't stay a night at each place. Then you stay where? So the question here is that if every time you left a place of settle and you travel more than 81 kilometers, can you jama' and qasar? Or that means you travel out 81 kilometers, then you come back to the place of settling. Is it? Yeah, so if you go out of the city boundary, you must go out of the settled boundary. Right? So if you've gone out as far as you want to go, the entire time you're a traveler, once you come back to the settling boundary, you are now a settler. Right? In Arabic, it's called muqim. Mukim. I hope I answered the question. That means I'm assuming that you're coming back to your hotel every single night. But so maybe like you arrive in, but it's very hard, to actually go out each and every time and come back each and every time. But you can do it if you want to, I guess. Right? So as a person called settle the moment they arrive at the place, they tend to stay and settle and write. Not the moment they intend, not the moment they intend in the country, the moment they arrive. The moment you arrive, then you're a settler. Not the moment you leave, but the moment you arrive. How does Friday prayers work when you are traveling? If you have gotten if you are on the okay, if you travel not on a Friday, okay, if you travel not on a Friday, that means on any day, right? And you have taken on the status of traveler, then you are traveler, right? You are traveler. So Friday prayers is not compulsory on a traveler, all right? It is haram, it is haram for a person to travel, for a man, not woman, for a man. It's haram for a man to travel on Friday if he knows he will miss the Friday prayer. Okay, right? So if someone were to book a flight, right, on Friday, so they book a flight. The flight is at 10 a.m. in the morning, and they want to fly, to Indonesia or something like that, to Indonesia, right? And by the time they arrive in Indonesia, is definitely they're gonna miss Salat Jumaat. They can get a Zuhur in Indonesia, yes, maybe they arrive at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, but they will definitely miss Salat Jumaat. For a man, haram for them to do that. Haram. Okay, if you want to travel on Friday, you need to travel before subuh. You must travel before, for a man, not for women, for men, right? If a man wants to travel on Friday, he must travel before subuh, before the azan of subuh, to be counted as a traveler, and therefore he can skip Friday prayers. Okay, all right. I hope that is clear. Okay, but if, let's say, he's sure he can get Friday prayers somewhere along the way. So for example, he leaves Singapore, he was going to Malaysia, he's driving, right? So he leaves Singapore around 9 a.m. So he knows somewhere around Malaysia, he can find a mosque and he can pray Friday prayers. So he's very sure he can get Friday prayers somewhere along the way. Then no problem, right? Get your Friday prayers in Malaysia, no problem. Right? So he left Singapore at 9 a.m. By the time he said, Tuas, he goes beyond Tuas, he goes into Gelang Patah and whatsoever, he knows somewhere along the way he can find a masjid and he can pray Friday prayers there, no problem, right? It's not haram. Okay, last question, and then we're going to end our class. So the arriving at the place, the hotel, you intend to settle, not arriving at the country, you intend to settle. For example, oh yes, so someone says arriving at the place that you intend, the place meaning the built up area. Again, we're not looking at country lines, because country lines are artificial. They're man imposed. We're looking at built up area. Built up area is something that you can visibly see. Country lines, like if I were to walk between two countries, right, in a sense, like you won't see a country line unless someone like built a fence or something, right? Country lines are man-made. So you don't consider things by country, you consider things by built up area. Okay. All right. Okay. Tamam. Okay, I hope that's clear. All right, I'll stop there for today. Wassalamualaikum. So, mashallah, today so much fiqh. Ya Allah, mashallah. May Allah yufaqihna fi din. Yu'allim at-ta'wil. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us of those who understand the religion well. In the hadith, Rasulullah said that whomsoever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants goodness for, yufaqihu fi din. Right? Whenever whomsoever Allah wants goodness for, Allah will give him deep understanding of the religion. And the word fiqh, which is what we're learning, which is jurisprudence or law, it is from the word understanding. And you can see really like so much brain work, mashallah, in this, and may Allah make it clear to us when our prayers are counted and not counted, and may Allah forgive us where we have fallen short, because He's all forgiving, He's all merciful. It is on the servant, on the slave, to try our best in serving and in worshiping our Creator. It is on the Creator, in His grace, in His graciousness and in His mercy, to forgive us where we have fallen short. Right? So someone cannot say, oh, Allah's all merciful, therefore I take my prayers lightly. Oh, Allah's all merciful, therefore I'm going to be lax about this. No, we as a slave put in our best. and He as our Rabb, as our Lord, right? We have a husnul zon, we have a good opinion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that He will accept and He will cleanse and He will purify, right? And He will forgive, right? And He will elevate and He will multiply, right? And He will reward subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is on us, alayna al-haraka wa ala Allahi al-barakah. It is on us to take action, and to try our best. It is on Allah to bless, right? And to accept, right, from us. Barakallahu fikum. May Allah bless all of you, and bless you in Ramadan. Next Saturday there is no class, right? Because we are in the first night of Ramadan. Please remember all of us in your du'as. So I didn't want to cancel today's class, even though the class earlier on ended late, right? Because next week there's no class, right? So for entire month, I seek your du'as. For al-faqira, for myself, make du'as for the entire ummah, inshallah, this Ramadan. Put in your intentions for Ramadan. May this be the most blessed and the best Ramadan that you have ever experienced in your life, no matter what state you are in. It could be the first time whereby you're not praying very much. It could be the first time whereby you are not well. It could be the first time whereby you're not with your family. It could be the first time. Could be a first time for many different things in your life, right? But let it be the best and the most blessed and the most and a Ramadan that affects your heart, right, strongly, and brings you close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah help us in this, as He is the most generous and He is the most merciful. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. I also seek forgiveness from everybody here before coming to Ramadan. Seek forgiveness from those who are around you. I seek forgiveness from everyone here and from those who tune in, and everyone that I know, for any shortcomings, sins, anything that I have done, to have started anyone here. And I hope that we can forgive each other of everything that has happened between us. As human beings, we always make mistakes. And we hope that for other human beings to forgive us, and we hope for our Lord to forgive us. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Just a few announcements for Ramadan. All my night classes will be put on hold. But there will be the special Ramadan classes, which will happen in the morning and in the evening before, after Asar, before Maghrib. Right, so I hope you all can attend those. I'll be putting out the announcement, inshallah, soon. And also, right, all the classes will be centered around the Quran. So I really hope that you all can attend, right? Because in Ramadan, it is the way of our teachers to focus on the Quran, Quran, Quran. So Quran recitation and Quran learning, right? So we're doing a lot of stories in the Quran as well as tafsir from the Quran, and just to have your portion of the Quran, especially for women, right? When you come into the time of the month whereby you cannot recite and you cannot pray, right? Then study the Quran. Right? So don't deny yourself of studying the Quran, and that can bring, mashallah, a lot of change in your own heart, mashallah. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين. اللهم سلمنا لرمضان وسلم رمضان لنا. اللهم بارك لنا في شعبان وبلغنا رمضان. الله أسهل من راغمين من المصلين والصائمين والتابعين والقارئين القرآن الحكيم والمذكرين للموعظة والذكر من القرآن. Allah, make us keep us safe for Ramadan and keep our Ramadan safe for us. Allah bless us in Sha'ban and allow us to reach Ramadan. Oh Allah, allow us to be of those who pray and who fast and who recite and who remember and who take heed in Ramadan. May this be the best Ramadan for every single one of us here. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept from all of us all that we strive to do. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين. الفاتحة. أن الله يرزقنا علما نافعا وعملا خالصا مستقيم ودل الهدى ويسر به قلب النبي محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وصحبه وسلم وإلى أرواح معاني من مشايخنا وذوي الحق علينا وإلى حضرة النبي محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وصحبه وسلم. الفاتحة. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. آمين. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wal 'asr. Innal insana lafi khusr allazina amanu wa 'amilus solihat wa tawassaw bil haqq wa tawassaw bis sabr. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika asyhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Amin. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Jazakumullah khair.
Jazakumullah khair, Ustazah. Forgive us to the students. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum.